Namaskar. We are in the sixth session of education through yoga, my yoga, in yoga, about yoga. Yesterday we were dealing with the yamas and niyamas as ethico-religious practices, precisely called as dharma, achara dharmaniti mimamsa, achara dharmaniti pranali. So we were saying that those are not moral ethical practices. I gave you the example about Guruji's teachings where he brought in yamas and niyamas in asanas. Let me make a clarification here. Guruji spoke about violation of ahimsa in our trikonasana. That really did not mean that we were committing himsa in the sense it is understood in moral ethical parlance. Because you know what is himsa and what is ahimsa in moral ethical frame. Yet it would be himsa in an asana or a part of body, or himsa on the mind or by the mind, himsa on the breath, etc. But that himsa is totally different than our idea of himsa in moral ethical principles. Yet there was himsa according to Guruji. When we did our asanas, we were committing himsa. Not that we were ferocious, not that we were like wild beasts, not that we were predators. So it is totally a different parameter to understand what is ahimsa. While you are in trikonasana or any asana or pranayama, when you are interacting within yourself, it's a different connotation to himsa and ahimsa. So in yoga we are introduced to himsa and ahimsa unto ourselves, by ourselves, which is very important. While in social realm, we understand someone committing himsa on someone inflicted himsa. So there is one person who is in himsa, the other person is suffering on account of himsa. So that's why these are not moral ethical principles, because ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, etc. are subjectivistic. They are intrapersonal. Unlike in moral ethical principles, they are interpersonal. All the yamas and niyamas, when they come in moral ethical framework, there is interpersonal aspect of all that, and here is it intrapersonal. So that's why one more point I am diverging you to reinforce the position in your mind that Patanjali is not speaking about moral ethical principles, because ahimsa, satya, asteya can come in pranayama, in dhyana, dharana, dhyan, samadhi even. So in what way would they come? We don't become predators there. We don't become ferocious. Yet there can be ahimsa. I will just give one more example before I draw curtain on this. If there is a baby next to me, I just give a mild pinch. The baby cries. It's an affliction to the baby. But suppose I give the pinch of same intensity to an adult. The adult doesn't feel any affliction by that pinch. For a baby, which is a tender baby, mild pinch also will make it cry. But for an adult person, same pinch of same intensity may not create any affliction at all. That person will not cry. So the parameter of himsa has so many aspects which also we have to consider. Now, when we are in asana, pranayama, etc., we are not pinching ourselves to say that we are committing himsa, yet there is himsa. We may not be agonized, we may not be afflicted, yet there will be himsa committed. So therefore, it's a totally different parameter for both himsa, ahimsa on social, in the social realm as well as in the yogic realm. Anyway, the point is that these are ethico-religious principles. And therefore we embarked upon the concept of dharma yesterday. And I made little brief description about what dharma is in comparison with religion. Then yesterday we took that definition, which is very popular, very famous in philosophy, Indian philosophy, which, as I said, one who is falling, one who is fallen, one has fell, one who is about to fall, one who may fall, that which sustains is dharma. Now let me open out this little analysis here. It doesn't, when it says it sustains, what is it? See, understand this concept of sustaining. If a pavement dweller is to be sustained, it is not very expensive. It doesn't cost more. Perhaps you can just give a tent to the person and they will be sustained. He's a pavement dweller after all. But somebody, a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire is to be sustained. You can understand the cost of it. So in the reference to economics, in the dimension of economics, sustaining a person who is poor is simpler. Sustaining a person who is very rich is difficult. So dharma will sustain a human being who has average duty consciousness, who doesn't have sufficient duty consciousness. Sustaining him will be one proposition, and one who has very high degree of this consciousness, sustaining that person will be another proposition. Dharma will sustain everyone. So that's how that aspect also has to be understood. Now, does dharma merely sustain us? Does it mean that we must be just sustainable and sustained in the world? To be in the world, we require much more than mere sustenance. So the sustenance concept is also flexible. And dharma will cater to all that. Now, there is one of the statements in one of the Dharma Shastra Grantha. It is said, if you sustain dharma in 1 degree, dharma will sustain you in hundreds of degrees. We need to do little bit, it will do a lot. So that is how dharma works. That's the proportion in which it works. It doesn't just reciprocate. It has always the bounty. Therefore, dharma has been considered something like mother. For mother, you need to do wee bit, and the mother will give you abundant. The mother doesn't have mercantile mind, that you are given something worth 10 units and I will give you therefore 10 units to the child. No, the mother's magnanimity is different. Similarly, dharma is considered as the mother and it has that magnanimity. So it not only sustains, when it says it is said that it sustains, it does much more than that. It has that magnanimity. The statement in the text there, dharmo rakshatiye rakshitah. If you protect dharma, it will protect you 100-folds, 1,000-folds, million-folds. So that is another definition of dharma. Now, as I said, it won't be sufficient for us that we are sustained by dharma. We need much more than that. Are we all in this world just living to be sustained, or do you look for something much more? Dharma also gives that. There's another definition of dharma. There are several definitions of dharma. I will give you another definition of dharma. According to that definition, it is said, yato abhyudaya nishreyasa samsiddhi sa dharma. What is dharma? Where you get abhyudaya, not only evolvement, not only sustenance, but the evolvement. You get that wealthiness. Abhyudaya is a wealthiness. So you get the wealthiness in all the laukika worlds, all the planes in which we will be moving. So dharma gives abhyudaya in all the lokas. So there is the concept of saptalokas. So it will take care of us, not only sustain us, but it will give you abhyudaya. Abhyudaya is to enrich us. So it gives abhyudaya in lokas, and then it gives nishreyasa. Nishreyasa means ultimate good, final good, ultimate good. So dharma in its repertoire has so much to offer that it will give us abhyudaya to nishreyasa. That's why the definition which comes in Vaisheshika Darshana, yato abhyudaya nishreyasa samsiddhi sa dharma. Now this dharma concept is so subjectivistic. Another misconception is there, prevalent, that the punya is dharma and papa is adharma. Papa punya are one, that's the one pair. Dharma is not the same pair. Dharma is another pair. Generally, the punya will be universal. The vice is vice, anywhere, anytime. The virtue is virtue, anywhere, anytime, except few exceptions. Generally, we can understand that the virtue is virtue in any location, in any region. So we know what are virtues for human beings and what are vices in human beings. So if those things, if there are bad things in us, we say these are vices. If there are good things, we say these are virtues. The man has been endowed with intelligence to identify papa and punya. To some extent, we have this faculty to identify something that is virtuous, something as vicious. It is not something altogether out of sphere of human intelligence. So therefore, what is papa and what is punya can be determined, can be said, can be declared, and can be understood. Man is endowed with intelligence to understand vice and virtue. However, that is not the case of dharma. Mahabharata has a wonderful quotation which says, the dharma is decided in deep core of the heart. In the deep core of the heart, dharma is decided. Dharma is quite relative. It changes from person to person. The papa punya doesn't change from person to person. What is punya to me is also punya to you. What is papa to me is papa to you. What I consider is virtue is also considered as virtue by others, all others. What considers as vice is also considered as vice by others. But this is not the case of dharma. Dharma tattva nihito guhaya. In the deep cave, this complex concept of dharma is decided. What is my dharma and what is your dharma? It has a personal reference. What is dharma for me may not be dharma for you, but what is punya for me is punya for you also. What is adharma for me may not be adharma for you, but what is papa for me is also papa for you. So not to confuse between papa and punya and dharma and adharma. I'll just give one example here, where you will know that the two persons in actually counterposition to each other are both adhering to dharma. Therefore, in discussion of the dharma, this example comes very often. In Mahabharata, Bhishma fought against Bhagwan Shri Krishna, of whom he was a devotee. Bhishma was a devotee of Krishna. His name has been mentioned as one of the prominent devotees of Narayana, of Krishna. There is a long list. Prahlada, Narada, Parashara, Pundarika, Vyasa, Ambarisha, Shukashaunaka, Bhishma, Dalvyang. Bhishma comes there. He is a devotee. But in the battlefield of Mahabharata, he is standing against Bhagavan Shri Krishna. He is not siding Shri Krishna in the battle. He is standing in opposite arm. That is his dharma. He was not in adharma. It was its perfect dharma to be positioning himself in opposition of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. On the other hand, in Ramayana, Vibhishana, another devotee of equal caliber, because his name also appears in that verse. Prahlada, Narada, Parashara, Pundarika, Vyasa, Ambarisha, Shukashaunaka, Bhishma, Dalvyang, Rukmangada, Vasishta, Vibhishana Adin. His name comes there. He betrays his brother, who is pitted against Bhagavan Sri Rama, and he joins Sri Rama. He fights along with his Bhagavan. It is dharma. Bhishma fights against Bhagavan. It is also dharma. Dharma has so many other factors to be considered. So dharma is a complex concept. That's why Bhagavad Gita also says that the karma, principle of karma, is very difficult to comprehend and understand. It is not that dharma is complex, we are complex. So in one of the lessons to follow, we will try to divulge this as to how we ourselves are very complex. We are not simple. Our psyche, consciousness of human beings is very complex. All dogs are dogs. All cats are cats. All elephants are elephants. All lions are lions. All human beings are not human beings. In their consciousness fabric, all human beings are not human beings. Sometimes human being can be worse than a cobra. A human being can be worse than a lion. A human being can be worse than a tiger, can be worse than a crocodile. That is why human psyche itself is very complex. Whereas we end up saying dharma is confusing, confounding. Yoga is a very complex subject. We are complex, not that they are complex. So therefore, in Dharma Niti Mimamsa, the dharma is so important. See, today we are all actually in run-up to yoga. The essential yoga is far away from me. But today yoga has become very fashionable. And we all deem that we are all doing yoga. But there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, which describes that for a neophyte, for a raw beginner, the yoga is in his karma. Whereas we have made the yoga so technical subject, get a mat, get a prop, do the pose like this, technically do like this. So we are taught to do the pose technically perfectly. We have made the subject very, very technical. Whereas Bhagavad Gita says, where does the yoga commence for a beginner? Aruruksha, Mundir Brahma, Karma Karanam Uchyate. The essential yoga starts when the seeker has karma consciousness. When the seeker has karma consciousness, that is to some extent dharma consciousness, more concerned about right and wrong from dharma point of view, not right and wrong from technicality point of view. Otherwise, we will say somebody is doing right Trikonasana, somebody is doing wrong Trikonasana. So that is right and wrong technically. But yoga doesn't lie there. In that correctness, yoga doesn't lie there. For a raw beginner, where does it lie? Karma karana uchyate. Karma. Karma consciousness. That is, in my Achara Dharma Niti, am I right? In the posture, I may not be right, but I might be right in my Dharma Niti. I should score merit. I might be right technically in the posture, but I am wrong in my Dharma Niti, Achara Dharma Niti. I won't score merit. So yoga is all in dharma. So essential yoga starts when you are conscious about right and wrong, relatively, absolutely. The karma, the consciousness must be pure for your yoga to be pure. Not that your posture is pure, correct, perfect, therefore you are right. Your pranayama is right, therefore you are right. See, in human dynamics, the intent, the drive, the motive is very important. You just can't assess a person by the activity, whether it is right activity or wrong activity. There can be right activity or wrong motion. So in any case, that will be a wrong activity because the motion is, the very motive is wrong. The drive is wrong, motive is wrong. So first of all, the motive should be right. The intent should be right, justifiable. I will give you an example here. Once a disciple goes to an acharya and he says, my colleague knows Bhagavad Gita by heart and I do not know the Bhagavad Gita by heart, but my colleague knows, therefore I am going to by heart Bhagavad Gita. Understand the intent. My colleague knows Bhagavad Gita by heart and I do not know it. Now I see, since I consider him as my competitor, he is my colleague and competitor, he knows, I do not know, therefore I want to know. So he tells his Acharya, I want to buy heart Bhagavad Gita. Now, it's a good intent, I want to buy heart Bhagavad Gita. But when the Acharya investigates, why did it dawn on you today? Why did it occur to you today? He said, because my colleague knows it. So his Acharya told him, don't buy heart it for some time. Because you have a wrong drive. The wrong drive will make your act also wrong. First, set right your drive. So Acharya tells him, it's a good intent to buy heart Bhagavad Gita, but I advise you, don't do it now. Wait for a while. Let this competitive nature in you subside. Do not have this competitive approach to by hearting Bhagavad Gita. So he prevents him from by hearting it. He says, wait for some time. Let us do it at some other time, not now. This is not the time to embark upon it. Have a launch of it. Understand his advice. Because the intent was not right. So there is a maxim. Yatha krato bhavati tat karma kurute. Yat karma kurute tat abhisampadyate. We know this maxim. As you sow, so you reap. This is not a perfect, precise maxim. It is not as you sow, so you reap. As you have the drive, so you reap. As you have a drive, so you sow. As you sow, so you reap. So, behind even sowing seed, we have intent. If the intent is not right, whatever you sow will not be right, and whatever you reap will not be right. And therefore, students of yoga need to understand. So first step in identifying whether something is right or wrong, first check your intent. Check your drive. That is very important. Because that's the first factor which must be right. If that is not right, then it's going to go haywire. So dharma tells us about assessing our own intent. Why am I doing something? Why I feel like doing something? What is the intent? What is the drive? So yoga will tell you about this. Classical yoga gives you this consciousness. Preparatory to your classical consciousness, classical yoga, you are prepared to develop this kind of inquiry. Don't just do good things. Why are you doing good things? If I am doing good thing because my rival is doing good thing and I want to compete with him, your good thing is not a good thing. Intent, the drive is so important. That is the source of our karma. So dharma tells us about that. Yoga will start teaching you that you must develop karma consciousness. Until you develop karma consciousness, your classical yoga will not commence. It will be all preparation. That is why the dharma niti mimamsa is so important in yoga. And the entire practical aspects of it are completely put in a frame of ethico-religious practices. Dharma niti. As I said yesterday, right from ahimsa, first of the yamas, to asamprajna samadhi, last of the ashtanga. It is all achara dharma niti mimamsa. So I wanted to open out one more dimension of this dharma. And once you are in yoga, the process of yoga is such that you will always try to assess your dynamics. What are dynamics? Don't be confused between activity and dynamics. Activity is mere activity. What are dynamics? Drive, motive, motion, execution, purpose. So all these have to be assessed. All these have to be ensured that they are proper. So in dynamics, we have to consider that. So yesterday I made reference to Guruji's statement, my yoga is dynamic meditation. What is dynamic? It comes from the concept of dharma. So core of Guruji's practice was his dharma, not his fervor, not his enthusiasm, not any challenge, not any motivation, but dharma. So dharma, niti, mimamsa is so centric in all practical aspects of yoga. So I wanted to add one more dimension here. So that is all for the day. But before I sign off, let me deal with one question which came to me. Somebody said, somebody is practicing Surya Namaskar. Is Surya Namaskar a complete yoga? And is it sufficient to be just doing Surya Namaskars? Will it become whole yoga? So, something in answer to this question. Surya Namaskar is Surya Namaskar. Yoga is yoga. Although there are some yogasanas that you identify in Surya Namaskars, it doesn't become yoga. Fundamentally and basically because Surya Namaskar is a motion. You are in motion. It has to be done in motion. Motion becomes paramount in Surya Namaskar. Whereas in yoga, when it comes to asanas, sthira sukham asanam. Steadiness is important. Whereas in Surya Namaskar, motion is important. So Surya Namaskar is good as a form of exercise. And beyond exercise, it is good for coordinating body, mind and breath. Because in motion, it's a different proposition to coordinate body, mind and breath. And of course, Surya Namaskars are sun worships. Basically, if you revere sun, you should revere sun. You should know why you should revere sun. Then Surya Namaskar should be samantraka. Then it will have greater benefits rather than merely a mat exercise and corporeal exercise. Those should be sun salutations. So, you must be saluting the sun in what you do. Its value will be enhanced. But Surya Namaskars is nowhere, not only complete yoga, not even yoga. Because in yoga you need to have steady, be steady. Sthira sukham asana. Meditative practice of yoga, you must be steady. Samam kaya shiro grivan dharayan achalam sthiraha Bhagavad Gita. It stipulates that you must be sitting straight, steady, erect, firm, unmoved. Whereas in Surya Namaskar, you have to make motions. So don't confuse between Surya Namaskar and yoga. Although it is said that those are all asanas. They are not asanas, the postures have come in there. Some of the yogic postures have come there. In yogic postures, for them to become asanas, they are supposed to stay, they are supposed to maintain. So many other implications are there, nuances are there for yogasana. When they come in Surya Namaskar, none of those are adhered to. Therefore, Surya Namaskar is good, it has its own virtue. but it should not be mixed up with yoga. Hope that satisfies the questioner. Thank you very much. Namaskar.